Friends, as we are seated, I'll give you a snapshot that the gospel today is not about that. It's about faithfulness, how we carry the things that matter, the relationships that matter, the family and friendships that matter. That's what we're here to learn. And so, especially to those of you who are in school, those who are young at heart, God's children, blessed be the friends you make who keep your friendship faithfully, who take your trust and give you their respect. This blessing that you give, true friends will reflect. And God bless you then with true friends, not with those who are fake. To all God's children, grace, mercy, and peace from God our Father, and the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. My temptation has been to focus on the story of the parable of the dishonest manager and the old rich man who pats him on the back for being better at cheating and cutting corners than anyone thought in the beginning. I'm generally tempted to spend my time with that parable because in my head I am tempted to think certainly the old rich man in charge is God. As if our Maker has a long white beard sitting on a cloud, keeping track of how we mismanage the earth. Problematically, patting us on the back, we figure out some kind of life hack, or cheat, or scheme that gets us ahead. But the parable Jesus uses today is not a parable about how we live as dishonest managers of the old rich man in the sky. The parable Jesus tells is of the way of the world around us. That's the system that surrounds us. That's the temptation that we're faced with every day. That we're out there doing what gets us ahead by the rules of a dog-eat-dog world, that we're running a rat race looking for how we can get the biggest refund and save the most and find the best kickback and win the largest bonus, even if it means not living up to the ideals of fidelity, goodness, and kindness, mercy, grace, and love. In fact, we live in a world where when one door looks like it is shutting because we have not lived our lives appropriately, we might be tempted to think, how can I tell a few more white lies? Not to lessen the debt of my neighbor, but to put them in a position where I might extort a room in their home when I lock myself out of the house of cards. And worst of all, we live in a world where sometimes it works. Where sometimes those who smile the biggest while saying the largest lie get ahead. While the voice who steals our idea and takes it to the table does get the raise. We live in a world where sometimes the attaboy, pat on the back, is not for how righteously we have lived, but for how well we have played the system. And Jesus looks at us living in that world. Jesus looks at societies and cultures that have any tolerance for cheating to get ahead. Jesus looks and says, if you can play that game and build yourself an eternal home, have at it. If you want to do the dog-eat-dog rat race and trust that it will always have a space that celebrates you, go for it. Make good friends in the way that you lie and cheat and steal. And then when someone catches you, maybe those people will take you in. Let you sleep on the sofa of their McMansion. until time runs out on it. That's the way of this generation. So shrewd in the way that it plays the game with one another. So shrewd in the way it plays that game with us, with our loved ones. And like all those people gathered around Jesus, who are disciples, whether they have been sinners or tax collectors or Pharisees or scribes, we might be tempted to see ourselves as members of that generation. We might be tempted to look for the shrewd, wise way to get ourselves ahead. We might be thinking, like the snake in Eden, who is remembered for being the most shrewd of all creatures, that we can secure a place in history, even if it's for evil, rather than for righteousness. But at that feast, Jesus has a different gospel. At that meal where we are called in his presence, Jesus speaks the word of a different God, of a God who says, "You are my children, you are my people, made in the bright image of a resurrection day that leaves the old way of shortcuts and schemes and cheats behind." You don't need a pat on the back for being a part of that old shrewd generation. You have the warm embrace of the God who looks at the face and says, "You are my children of this bright resurrection dawn." And you don't belong to this world. And you don't belong to the systems that hurt people to get you ahead. You can't belong to both. And if you are children of the God who has said you are very good, if you are children of the God who has said you carry the image of hope within you, if you are children of the God who has said your life is a gift of love that has begun now and my grace will continue in eternity, not because you have to present yourself as a fraud, but because you can present yourself as graciously and mercifully beloved of God. You are the ones who belong to something else. And Jesus sits in their midst, pointing out the important fact that we are not called in faith around a God who is a rich man far away. We are called into the presence of a God who is the poor one sharing the table. The guest in this place who says we are all home, no matter where we came from. The one who says your spot in this pew, in this chair, in this service, in this choir, your spot is guaranteed eternally, and no rumor, no wretchedness, no nothing. Take it away. So now that we've named the fantasy that's around us, let's live in the love that is true. Because you cannot belong to the fantasy and the real love at the same time. What you have been called to receive, what you are welcomed to take as nourishment, and what you are sent to give as your own, is the love that is real, that puts to bed the fantasy of all those things. So let them look for a place in anyone's house of cards. You welcome them by this festival, in this house to your grace with world without it.